I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today we're going to be talking about 5 behaviors your ex needs to see. This is important, okay? So many of you guys are going through a very difficult time, and we understand that. But there are things that you need to do differently in order to repair a relationship or reattract an ex. Behavior is very important. And one of the frustrating things for me as your coach is when your ex finally reaches out, you make a bunch of mistakes. You've been watching 500 videos and then the ex reaches out and you do what your instinct tells you to do and you've completely ignored everything that we've said in the videos. And I had somebody today that their ex reached out. They had a clear high interest level. They told him they had been stalking him, that they had been jealous of other people, other women liking his posts, all kinds of stuff, and he made a giant mess of it. It took a long time in the call just to sort through the mess of what was going on there. So today we're going to talk about some of the behaviors that you really got to focus on and learn these things, so if your ex comes back again, you don't make these mistakes.
Right. So the first one that we have is to respect their decision of the breakup. So when you're broken up with, the immediate gut response is to try to convince them otherwise. Many of you will try to have long, drawn-out conversations with your ex about why they shouldn't break up with you, about how you're really sorry, and these things might be true. And I know that you want to repair the relationship, but for them, it's emotionally overwhelming and exhausting. They likely took a long period of time before the actual breakup to think about it, to process it, and to build up the courage to actually break up with you. So at that time, the last thing that they want to hear is your rebuttals and you're trying to convince them and how, they aren't sure about this and they should reconsider and they should take some time to think about it before they make a decision. So for them, they need you to respect their decision and to give them that space that they're asking for. Absolutely critical. And I've made those mistakes before. We just have to talk about it. If we just talk about it, I just kept thinking over and over again, like, this doesn't make any sense. Why would we break up? We get along so great. If we just talk about it, we can fix this. Or let's take some time. Let's take a break.
And we try and control it. And we think that we can talk them into it. But that really isn't what works. Believe me, I understand you want to do it. I've done it. I've tried it. I've been there. It just doesn't make the person want to talk more. They just get more entrenched in their decision. I know it's tough. Believe me. But respecting that decision and giving them space to process and miss you is going to make more impact on them than trying to convince them to change their mind. Do your absolutely best to leave them alone and give them space. Okay? The second point we want to make is you want to own up to your mistakes. Nobody's perfect in a relationship. We all have our highs and our lows. Some of you more than others, depending upon the kind of house you grew up and how volatile your parents were, what you saw as a healthy relationship. Maybe you struggle with anxiety or depression. Maybe you've been neglectful. Maybe you've been smothering. We all tend to have our tendencies in relationships that turn our partners off. I know it seems like owning up to it is a bad idea because, like, if you get them to or think about your mistakes, they're going to be turned off.
Or it might feel like accepting defeat.
Yeah, exactly. but you want to show that you are maturing in the sense that you can see what you've done wrong now that you've had some time and some perspective, and that you understand where they're coming from. That's really important, to show empathy. And we cover this a lot in the creative healing course. There's a whole big section in section 10 and in workbooks 5, 9, and 10, because it's so important.
Before we move on to empathy, I wanted to add that with the owning up to your own behaviors, we say this because we also see a lot of people making excuses and blaming their actions on other things or external circumstances. So it is a sign of maturity to say, you know what, I messed up, I'm wrong, and I'm sorry for that, rather than saying, oh, it was because I act wild on Tuesdays, or whatever it is.
Crazy Tuesday.
or blaming it on other people.
Wacky Wednesday. I'm always great on Terrific Thursday, though.
So you want to make
Sad
sure that...
Saturday.
Oh. You want to make sure that you're owning up to your behavior and being able to have that courage to say, you know what, I did mess up at times. So that's the reason why we bring that up. Exes do want to see that you're able to acknowledge that you contributed to some of the issues. Yeah.
Yeah, and with that, when you can show them that empathy and understanding, now they can actually see that you're reflecting on their position and you're acknowledging how they felt.
I think this is huge because a lot of people get stuck on, I messed up, I'm sorry, and they get stuck on that part and can't move on to the empathy of, this must have been terrible for you, or I can see how you had a hard time when this was going on, or when I may have treated you this way, or when I caused this to happen. Seeing it from their point of view as well is really important to making them feel understood, making them feel heard and listened to in the relationship and even after the relationship.
Absolutely. It's so difficult to kind of own up to our mistakes because, it hurts our pride and our ego. But if you're really going to be able to repair it, you've got to acknowledge what went wrong. And so empathy and learning empathy is absolutely critical to repairing things with your ex.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, another big one is that you really want to display confidence. You want to show people that you don't need them, although people like to hear it, I need you. I don't think it's essentially that healthy. It should be, I want you, I love you, I want you a part of my life. You want to show that you can function as an adult, that no matter what comes your way, you can handle it, and you want to let your partner realize that whatever comes their way, that you can be there with them to handle those things. But if they need space, you can allow that. And if you have some difficulties with whatever's going on in your life, that ultimately you can handle that. If you come across as being unable to handle your own problems all the time, it could be exhausting.
Yeah, and I think this really ties into emotional self-control, which is really being able to manage your emotions in the moment, and especially in high-pressure situations or in front of your ex. So this doesn't mean to ignore your emotions or to suppress them or to pretend that they don't exist. In fact, if you were to do these things and, try to smother down your emotions, it can make having emotional self-control even harder because now you're building up all of these things on the inside and keeping them in, bottling up, and then the moment that you do see your ex, it all comes out and then you're unable to manage them or keep them under control. So it is important that you do pay attention to your emotions and process them. Go to therapy if you have that opportunity. Find some outlets to experience those emotions. But remember that in front of your ex is not the time to let all of that out. Because once they've made the decision to end the relationship, your emotions are no longer their responsibility. And that's really hard to hear, but as I said in the beginning of the video, they've processed some of it at this point before breaking up with you. So at the moment that they break up with you, they don't have any more emotional energy left to then soothe you through the breakup. So you have to keep that in mind about what your ex is going through, about how it was difficult for them too to make that decision to end the relationship. And now you have to focus on your own support systems and other ways that you can manage your emotions.
Yeah. It's very attractive to show your ex that you are okay. Mm-hmm. Okay? You don't want to act like, you don't care if they're alive or dead, but you want to show them that you're handling yourself well, because you don't want them to pity you or feel sorry for you, like, oh, they're so devastated and hurt that they can't go on without me. There's not going to be any attraction growing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's huge, both for making your ex feel that space, that you're able to have that independence, and also for reattracting them, for them to see you as separate from themselves in this mysterious light, not knowing everything that's going on in your life. I think that's huge.
Absolutely. And the last one that we really want to talk about, and this is important, is change.
Yeah.
Okay? From your ex's perspective, for whatever reason, the relationship wasn't working. Every situation is unique, and we're talking in general terms here. But many times in a breakup, that person was unhappy with the relationship. So what was going on? What were they unhappy about? Okay? Because if they think it wasn't working, why would they want to give it another chance? Well, if you really make an effort to change and work on the things that you struggled with in the relationship, that gives them hope that things can be different. So you really want to focus on what are you doing in this time besides watching no contact videos. You really, like, so many of you guys get caught up in no contact videos. We put out a great video on vulnerability and relationships. You guys don't watch it, but you need to. Those are the videos that truly help you make a big difference within yourself to see things differently and make different changes for yourself.
Yeah.
So what are you doing differently to make a difference within yourself, to make those changes?
And this is huge, because what normally happens is you see an issue presented in your relationship, so then you start to work on that and try to analyze it. Okay, what happened here? So it's like you're digging and then you hit a little rock, and then you keep digging and you realize it's this boulder, because a lot of times the issues that present in our relationships have roots in our childhood experiences, in our attachment to our caregivers, things that have happened a long time ago, things that could have chronically happened throughout your childhood. So it's really important that you deal with the entire issue and that you look back at really what's going on, the underlying issues, rather than just slapping a Band-Aid on the immediate presenting issue, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. It takes time, and it takes introspection, it takes reflection. Oftentimes it means you have to think about complaints that your ex had or other exes had.
Yeah.
Is there a pattern? Have you heard these complaints from multiple people? Because if you have, there's a good chance you are doing the things that your ex is complaining about. Sometimes an ex will say things that you're like, I don't think that's true. But if you've heard patterns with other people, then you probably better look closer to it.
Yeah.
And you really got to take a step back and realize that in one sense, your ex feels like they have all the power, but they don't have all the power, because ultimately you have the right and the decision or the choice to say, I don't want to be with this person anymore. Or, this relationship wasn't always perfect for me either. And so, I can look at other options of people to date.
Yeah, as much as you're watching this video on behaviors that you need to be doing, think about the behaviors that you need to see in your ex-partner for the relationship to work again. Many times they also contributed to a lot of the issues, so you want to take everything into consideration. And what we also see quite often is exes that start working on themselves after the breakup. And then they progress to this point where they have so much insight, they're making changes in their life, and we've seen that they've actually outgrown their ex. They realize, wow, okay, that wasn't the relationship that I thought it was when I was in it, and now that I have all this growth and experience, I look back and think, maybe I don't want to be back in that relationship. So take that into consideration. That might happen to you.
Absolutely. You really do want to consider if they were a good partner or if they will be a good enough partner to make you happy if you get back with them. Because unless they take some time to reflect on the mistakes they made or the areas that they struggled in the relationship, they'll just continue to be the same way with you. Are you okay with that? I mean, I know if you're anxious,
You're like, yes,
you're depressed.
I'll take it.
Yes, it doesn't matter what they do. But if you're looking out for your own best interest, it's, well, I want to see some things that are different from them, and I want to see that they can acknowledge that they can do some different things if we get back together, that we both can act like adults and repair this together.
Yeah, well said.
So hopefully you enjoyed this video and hopefully it was helpful for you. Let us know in the comment section. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net. Sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Margaret is available for Skype coaching. And of course, Coach Victoria will continue to train with us.
I'll be here.
And right now, she's doing coachings with Margaret. So
hopefully you'll see me.
yeah, if you sign up for a coaching with Margaret, you'll see her.
Yeah.
But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon. To get my help personally, go to askcraig.net and click on Schedule Coaching and choose the option that works best for you. I do email coaching or Skype. To schedule a coaching with Margaret, click on Margaret on the top of the page and order a Skype with her. For the Knowledge Creative Healing course, click on the link at the top of the page and click Get Started Now.